Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I'm going to be doing another top 5 video, and I hope you guys all enjoy this one. But before I get to today's video, guys, I just want to tell you something kind of funny that I had when I was making my top 5 list. So when I do these top 5 videos nowadays, I pretty much write my top 10 favorites, synchros, favorite monsters, whatever. And then I pretty much break it down from there, break it down to my top 5. And pretty much when I was making my top 10 list to break it down to the top 5, I found that over half, probably 80% of the top 10 list was all dragon synchro monsters. And I said, that is just so weird. And then it kind of dawned on me, I was like, no, it's not really weird when you think about it, because this is the guy that loves Blue Eyes White Dragon, Red Eyes, Horus the Black Flame Dragon, Arm Level Dragon. This is the guy that loves dragons. It doesn't surprise me. Plus the fact that the 5Ds era had the Signer dragons, so pretty much the entire Synchro era in the beginning was all based on dragons. To some degree, if you get where I'm going with this. So, I found that kind of funny. So pretty much I broke it down and tried to make it just my top 3 dragons got into the top 5. So just my top 3 dragons got in the top 5, and everything else got in there too. But without further ado, guys, I'll get started on my top 5 favorite synchro monsters of all time. Number 5 being Shooting Quasar Dragon. Yes. I never got to play with this card when it came out as a show and jump promo. I didn't get the show and jump apparently back in the day. I actually sold off the card a long time ago because it was a pretty good money card back in the day when it first came out. But now that it's got the reprint nowadays, I'm able to play it again. And it's so good to see this card, being, after it was mass produced out of 5Ds, be able to play it. And it's such a very powerful card. And with the Synchron Extreme structure deck, coming out, when I'm making this video, the structure deck has not come out yet. It's gonna be really fun to play with Shooting Quasar Dragon. Plus, now that they've released the equivalent of Shooting Quasar Dragon for the manga, which it hasn't come out over here to the TCG yet, but it will eventually probably. It's going to be really fun to play this card. And I felt so bad for many years that our friends in Europe could not play Shooting Quasar Dragon because it came out of a manga, show and jump promo. It was a show and jump promo, and because it was a show and jump promo, because of stipulations and whatnot, the people over in Europe couldn't play it for years and years, and it was really annoying for them. I know that for a fact, and it was really nice to finally get this card, mass produced so they could go play it over there, and it was more available to the masses. For a long time, this deck was very popular with Lavals, using Lady of the Lake and Rekindling and things of that nature. And then it was also played in, junk decks, like Synchron decks. And that's where I played it in for a long period of time and still play it to this day, is, pretty much in the Synchron decks using, Quick Draw Quick Draw, Junk Synchron, and, Quillbolt Hedgehog, Level Eater, make TG Hyper Rare Barian go off. So yes, this card's really amazing. It's very powerful, and it's going to be really fun to play with this card a lot more once the structure deck comes out. So now, guys, on to my number 4 favorite synchro monster of all time. It's another dragon. It's Trishula the Ice Barrier. My old and dear friend Trishula the Ice Barrier. Oh, how I have waited for thee to come off the ban list for many moons. Yes, I love Trishula. I've always liked Trishula. I used to play Trishula back in the day in 6 Samurais, which was really fun back in the day when Gateway was legal and things of that nature. You could easily drop a Trishula on your opponent and it could really be a momentum swinger. I mean, still to this day, you can still make Trishula in 6 Samurais, but not as consistent as you used to before. But it's always been a very powerful card I've liked. And, all the dragon ice barrier monsters, Bryanok and whatnot, have always been powerful for the most part, to some degree. But the fact of the matter is they don't really work in their archetype, which is ice barriers. They always function better, in other archetypes besides ice barriers, which is kind of sad. But the card's been awesome to me. I've always loved making it. It's so fun to make it. I mean, you can make it in Clown Blade nowadays. You can make it. It's so easy in other decks. Yang Zing, you can make it. you know, Shaddolls can make it if you want to with, you know, Falco and whatnot. The card is really, really good, very powerful, it's very versatile. It really gave a boost to Synchron ideas and themes, because the fact of the matter is you can just throw, if your deck has a tuner or can fit a tuner into it, you put it in there because you can make Trishula. And it's so easy to make nowadays, just like it was before. And yes, we do have, you know, still in the TCG to some degree, we still have, you know, the Trishula, the ritual monster, but Trishula, the synchro monster, is a lot, I wouldn't say 10 times better, but it's a lot better than the ritual because, you know, you don't have to fulfill all the requirements just to drop it. I mean, the ritual monster, you can dance around it. When Trishula hits the field, it doesn't matter. It's going to rip from whatever it can rip from, you know, from your hand, you know, the field, the graveyard, whatever. You don't have to fulfill all the conditions, and that's what makes it a lot better than the ritual version, in my personal opinion. But it's a fun card to play nowadays, and I've been so happy ever since it came off the ban list to play with my old Trishula, the Ice Barrier, which it's so fun to play. And I have made it in Six Samurais a couple times, just for fun online, and once against my friend in real life. So it's so fun to play with this card, and I can't wait to play with it more as time goes on since it's back here in the TCG. Now on to my number 3 favorite Synchro monster of all time, that being Naturia Beast. Yes, Naturia Beast. Again, another card that really isn't made in its archetype, but is more made out of, you know, more utilized, I guess you could say, in other archetypes besides Naturia's, just like Trishula with Ice Barriers. Go figure. But Naturia Beast is a really, really good card. To me, it's been, I would honestly say it's one of my, you know, one of the best synchro monsters I would say that ever came out, especially from the older days of Yu-Gi-Oh! I guess you could say when synchros were, you know, the main focus of Konami. It's a power card. The fact that, again, another card you could make with 6 Samurai. Yes, very easily. And to this day, you can still make Naturia Beast turn 1, set some back row, and, you know, if you're going against a ritual deck, a pendulum deck, you know, a deck like spellbooks that uses a lot of spells, you just shut them down so quickly. And you can just sit there with the Naturia Beast. They can't run over it really easily. They can't, you know, they're going to have to go against your back row too. So they're sitting there going, auto win, game 2, I mean, things of that nature. It's such a powerful card if you properly protect Naturia Beast. Throughout the course of Yu-Gi-Oh! History, I've played Naturia Beast in many, many decks. I've played it in 6 Samurais most prevalently, Madolches by playing TG Madolches. There's a lot of other decks you can play Naturia Beast in and just splash it in there, you know, if you're having a lot of Earths. I know for some short time there, people were playing it in UAs, and that's a thing you can do as well, you know, just throw a little bit of TG, you know, the TG engine and, you know, UAs, and you got Naturia Beast coming out to say hello. So it's a very easy card to come out and say hello to, and it's a very powerful card depending upon your matchup. And I've always liked the card's artwork. I mean, same thing goes with, you know, Trishula and Quasar, really. I mean, you look at Quasar's artwork, and you look at Quasar, and it's pretty much doing what it did in the anime when a Synchro monster came to be. And it's going through, you know, I Synchro Summon, and, you know, the levels go up, and then it goes through the circles. That's what Quasar is doing. And Trishula just looks badass and awesome when his icy tomb coming out. And Naturia Beast looks really nice because it looks like he's in a nice forest, like he's supposed to be part of the Naturias. And his artwork is really nice. The fact that he's a lion and kind of embodied with nature looks really cool. But I've always loved this card because of its power plays and how much it can just stop some decks. Now, guys, on to my number 2 favorite Synchro monster of all time. And that is Azure-Eyes, Silver Dragon. The moment I saw this card, I think it's been 3 years now since I saw this card. Because it would have been like the fall of 2012. No, I think it was like early. It was like either the fall of 2012, like December maybe, or it was early, like January or February of 2013. It was a long time ago, kind of. I can't believe it's been almost 3 years since this card's been out. But this card means so much to me. This card, just in general, is probably my favorite dragon of all time. Just to let you guys know that my number 1 is not a dragon. This is definitely my favorite dragon of all time. You know, some other dragons that almost made this list, like Star Eater, and whatnot. Black Rose Dragon, because I've always loved Akiza, Stardust Spark Dragon, and Stardust. You know, cards I've always loved. You know, there's been a lot of dragon monsters I've always loved, but Azure-Eyes is my favorite because it's blue eyes for Synchro. You know, and you can just use the White Stone of Legend and Synchro up for this bad boy, and he can just keep spewing out blue eyes. Plus, he has built-in protection, and that 3,000 defense when he's in defensive position really comes in handy. His artwork looks cool. He looks like he's like going like, "Ah, I'm gonna come and get you," and you can see like the ground is shaking beneath his feet. You know, it just makes me think, ah, yes, Blue Eyes is about to come out. You know, it's such a good card. It protects your dragons for that turn, which has literally won me duels sometimes. My opponent will go Vegeki, and I'm like, no, Dark Hole, no, you can't target my dragons this turn. And they'll look at this card and they'll say, oh, you're right. And that'll be on my turn. I'll be like, oh, game. The fact that it's also a light attribute means you can trick your opponent. So sometimes I've literally attacked with it, and I've baited my opponent out by dropping Honest on them, which is something I love doing with Azure-Eyes, by the way. The fact they can bring Blue Eyes back, I mean, literally with him and Red MD, I mean, it's just so powerful. Plus, I can't even mention the synergy, you know, without forgetting Red MD's synergy with this guy, because if you bring Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon out, you can bring this guy back, and then his effect kicks in where you can't target dragons until the end of your opponent's turn, which is really, really nice. So this card, man, just means so much to me with the Blue Eyes, and it really signaled to me Konami giving support for, you know, old fan-based decks like Blue Eyes and Dark Magician and Toons and Red Eyes and Harpies. This signaled it for me that Konami cared about the player base to some degree, that they were willing to give back, you know, make old, you know, just fan service. They were giving fan service back to the fans, and over the course of the last couple of years, you know, 2 to 3 years, they've been doing that more and more, and this, I feel like, was the start and the beginning of it. So this card means a lot to me, and I really love this card, and it's fun to play around with too. I've been trying to fit this into Red Eyes, but by the way, I know people have been asking me that, hey, why don't you play Azure-Eyes and Red Eyes? I've been trying it, man. I've been trying it, but it's still better in Blue Eyes White Dragon. Then, my #1 favorite Synchro monster of all time, guys, Shien. Legendary 6 Samurai Shien. How many times, guys, have I mentioned 6 Samurais in this video? Okay, #1, there was the playmat. #2, Trishula. #3, Naturia Beast. It's gotta be Shien's #1. Why? Well, first off, 6 Samurais are my second favorite deck of all time, hands down. Gravekeepers being my #1. So if Gravekeepers ever came out with a good Synchro, maybe that would take the spot of Shien. But until that day, if it ever happens, Shien will probably be my #1 favorite Synchro monster of all time for many moons. So I've always loved Shien as an ulti. Always loved it. I'm so upset that I sold my old one, you know, years ago, but somebody offered me. They made me an offer I couldn't really refuse, and once I got another one down the road, and I picked up not too long after I sold of it, you know, after I sold my other one, I've always loved this thing, and I've always loved it as an ulti. And this one was actually, I don't know why, it just looked nicer than the other one I had for some reason, even though it was the ink was kind of weird on the one I had from back in the day. But whatever. But I've always loved him as an ulti. 6 Samurai Shien as an ulti. And I just have to show you guys how it looks. It just looks so badass and awesome. And the fact that I've always loved 6 Samurais, like I've said before to you guys, because of Bushido, the code of the samurais. You know, I've always loved samurai films. I've always loved watching, you know, samurai films from Japan as well. And I've always just liked what 6 Samurais imbue. And when they came out, that was like literally the first deck, no, the second deck after Gravekeepers, because Gravekeepers got support right before 6 Samurais, that I literally picked up when I got back into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, from taking about a 1.5-year break, about 2-year break from the game. And ever since then, I've loved Inishi, 6 Samurai Inishi, and I've always loved him. The fact that you can literally, like, build 6 Samurais, you know, for a while there after they hit, you know, Shien to 1 and Gateway got banned, and it looked like 6 Samurais were going out the door. But nowadays, I feel the deck is really powerful. You can make Naturia Beast, you can make Shien, you can lock your opponent out, and you can just say, come at me. Come at me, come on, hit me. You know, and they're going to have to deal with Shien. And when you get a buddy on board with Shien, Shien's ready to go. You know, he's got protected. Now, granted, his 25, you know, his 2,500 attack is not as strong as most boss monsters nowadays, but it's still very respectable, and his effect is still good. Even though the game has kind of passed away from powerful spells and powerful traps, you know, that are just generic that Shien can stop, it's still a very powerful card that can stop things and negate things. And if you properly play 6 Samurais, Shien will just protect you and you can automatically win the game. And I'm so happy Shien's back at 2. I'm hoping one day Shien will go back to 3. And so, yeah. So that, guys, is my top 5 favorite Synchro monsters of all time, guys. So down below, guys, tell me what are your top 5 favorite Synchro monsters of all time. I look forward to seeing your comments, guys, and I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. And remember to Synchro summon! And, you know, if you're playing against Yu-Gi-Oh! And he asks you, what the fudge is Synchro summon? Well, you can tell him what Synchro summoning is. Till next time, guys, take care, have fun dueling, good luck dueling. I'll see all of you guys next time. And tell me what your top 5 favorite Synchro monsters are, or your number 1 favorite Synchro monster is. Take care, everybody.